Wkms-Fm. Wkms-Fm 91.3 FM is a non-commercial national public radio affiliated station operated by Murray State University in Murray, Kentucky. WKMS features a variety of NPR programming and local music shows including classical music, bluegrass, alternative rock, jazz, electronica, and world music. WKMS signed on for the first time on May 11, 1970, as a non-commercial educational FM station licensed to MSU. Overview. Overview. The station now broadcasts in analog FM stereo and HD digital on 91.3 MHz with 100,000 watts of analog and 1,000 watts of digital power from antennas nearly 600 feet above average terrain currently located at the land between the lakes and streams these signals on the Internet. The station also operates translators in Paducah, Madisonville, and Murray. In 2009, WKMS installed repeater services for Madisonville as well as Fulton, which also covers Martin and Union City, Tennessee. The station's signal reaches southernmost Illinois, far western Kentucky, and northwestern Tennessee. Listeners elsewhere can visit WKMS.org to hear its programs. The station offers two separate channels of programming on its digital signal. HD-1 simulcasts programming on analog 91.3 FM, while HD-2 offers classical music programming 24 hours a day. WKMS has emergency auxiliary transmitters at its tower on the site of the former Mont, Kentucky in the land between the lakes territory, and at its studios on the 8th floor of Price Doyle Fine Arts Center at MSU. WKMS also broadcasts programming from American Public Media, the Public Radio Exchange, the BBC, the Associated Press, independent producers from around the nation, and local content by staff or volunteers. WKMS News is a contributing correspondent to the Kentucky Public Radio News Exchange and a partner in funding the Kentucky Capitol Bureau. History. Early history. In 1948, WNBS radio owner Chuck Shuffitt gave the Murray State Drama Department an hour a week of airtime on his station to broadcast plays adapted for radio. It was not until October 4, 1949, though, that the first broadcast from what was then Murray State College was heard, with Murray State College on the air. The studio from which the program was broadcast consisted of a handmade control board located in the old economics room on the third floor of Wilson Hall. The title of the show was changed in the 1950s to the Thoroughbred Hour and broadcast nightly half-hour segments. The content changed from radio drama to campus information. The Thoroughbred Hour was under the direction of Charles Henry Stamps through the use of a telephone line. In 1962, the Thoroughbred Hour's staff was split into an audio department and a technical department under the direction of a student program director and a student chief engineer. In the early 1960s, a news department was added, emphasizing in-depth, on-the-spot reporting for the Jackson Purchase region of southwestern Kentucky. In 1964, an official station manager, program director, and engineer were instituted on the Thoroughbred Hour. Also in 1964, special broadcasts began with the MSC Homecoming Parade. The Thoroughbred Hour was expanded to full one-hour segments Mondays through Fridays and 2 hours on Sundays in 1965. During this year, live broadcasts expanded. The Thoroughbred Hour tape library was formed in 1966. MSC was renamed MSU that same year by an act of the Kentucky General Assembly. The library provided MSU with a permanent record of important events. By 1967, a board of directors was established. Up until 1969, WKMS was originally branded the Radio Center, the voice of Murray State. Executive Assistant Ray Mofield pushed for a radio station to be included in the 1965-66 MSC budgets. Mofield convinced then MSC President Ralph Woods of the benefits from a radio station on campus, and as a result, $15,000 was set aside for its development. In 1968, Woods applied for a non-commercial educational radio license from the Federal Communications Commission (FCC) and requested for the frequency to be located at 91.7. In 1969, the FCC granted a construction permit for WKMS to operate at 91.3 FM as 91.7 was already taken by a nearby station. 1970s. SIS Wkms-Fm, the broadcasting service of Murray State, started formal operations on May 11, 1970. MSU President Dr. Harry Sparks noted this milestone and said, "With this radio station's audience we lengthen the shadow and multiply the sphere of influence of this university. Every broadcast of whatever type is a public relations message saying something about this school." Sparks also put forth a mission for WKMS to follow. "We perceive WKMS as the window." Because of this arrangement, broadcasts were only available while school was in session. The two rooms in the northwest corner of Wilson Hall were not able to meet the productive, professional environmental needs of educational radio broadcasts that Mofield had first envisioned. Mofield and other faculty of Murray State raised about $1 million to build the Price Doyle Fine Arts Building, the new location for WKMS. In September 1971, the building was officially opened for use. In its permanent home on the 6th floor in the late 1990s, the 6th floor was relabeled the 8th floor. WKMS was fully equipped with offices, soundproof studios, state-of-the-art RCA equipment, and a new stereo with FM capability. In September 1972, WKMS affiliated itself with National Public Radio. When NPR was created, affiliated stations received support from the Corporation for Public Broadcasting, a nonprofit organization funded in part by the United States Congress. With finances from CPB, the station was able to upgrade its network interconnection, a high-quality telephone line. The flagship NPR program of its day, All Things Considered, became the only daily newscast on WKMS and was an instant success. In 1973, WKMS received its first ever underwriter, the Cleveland Orchestra, which supplied a 13-week grant. Businesses took a cue from the orchestra and began participating in underwriting. 1973 was also a landmark year, as the Watergate hearings were in progress. WKMS provided the only radio source in western Kentucky for those hearings. WKMS has since provided a service for the region in equally important moments in U.S. history, such as airing the hearings regarding the nomination of Ruth Bader Ginsburg to the Supreme Court of the United States, complete coverage of the Space Shuttle Columbia disaster, complete coverage of the beginning of U.S. military operations in Afghanistan, the presidential impeachment. October 1976 marked the year WKMS started membership coordination. There were several levels of giving to obtain station membership. Student friends could donate $3, basic adult friends $5, good friends $10, great friends $25, and best friends $50. Membership applications were found on the back of the first ever programming guides and were sent to the station by postal mail. As with other public broadcasting stations of that time, programming guides were perquisites sent to members, released monthly at first, later seasonally. The guides always began with a letter from the station manager discussing new programs added to the schedule and the reasons some others were removed. There were statements of the current WKMS financial situation as well as a reminder of the importance of listener support. The guides would also have a grid containing a regular week's program schedule in it and a description of each show's features. Later, they would include features about staff, volunteers, musicians, and / composers. Still later, guides would also eventually mention the involvement of WKMS in the community and community feedback to those efforts. The advent of advanced technology took place in the late 1970s with a sophisticated system of satellite interconnection of radio and television around the country. Before the new technology, stations were linked by terrestrial landlines that were leased from AT&T. Costly telephone lines delivered a low-quality signal, which was only suitable for the deliverance of spoken-word programs, not musical ones. The satellite connections, however, would transmit all programs, music and talk alike, and be of the highest quality. The satellite transmissions would also permit stereo and quadraphonic network broadcasts, therefore allowing WKMS to broadcast live concerts from anywhere in the world. Consequently, content for broadcast was enlarged and the station was given more options to choose from. On November 5, 1979, Morning Edition premiered and became an instant hit, like its afternoon counterpart All Things Considered. It also was the first show to transmit from NPR through the new satellite terminal. That year, WKMS received a $150,000 facilities grant from the then U.S. Department of Health, Education, and Welfare to increase power and upgrade studio facilities, a milestone accomplishment. The station moved its transmission from the old Kentucky Educational Television Tower in Farmington, Kentucky, to its present co-location with the Kentucky Early Warning System in the Land Between the Lakes area. The 501-foot-tall 153-m tower and the station's two transmitters receive the WKMS signal from the studios at MSU by microwave. 1980s. 1990s. On January 24, 1990, the Attorney General of Kentucky, Frederick J. Cowan, wrote to WKMS. He commended the station for providing Western Kentucky with information that is crucial in our system of democracy. WKMS celebrated its 20th birthday that year, and as a special treat, Bob Edwards, then host of Morning Edition, came to WKMS for a special guest, open house informal seminar. He also joined the WKMS staff and volunteers at the Paducah Symphony's concert in the park at Kentucky Dam Village State Resort Park. On July 15, 1994, the old MSU Fine Arts Center, a connecting building to the Doyle Price Fine Arts Center, caught fire. The station was knocked off the air from 9 a.m. until the next day. WKMS remained unharmed, except for minor smoke damage in a few studios. During the 1990s, WKMS expanded to a 24-hour per day, 7 days per week schedule to serve its 5-state area. Further, the creation of online streaming offers worldwide listening opportunities. Translators have been erected to expand broadcasts to 92.1 in Paducah, 99.5 in Paris, Tennessee, and 105.1 in Madisonville. 2 studios were also added to the station's facility. 2000s. In the late spring of 2007, Wkms-Fm started a new digital signal which virtually eliminates noise in broadcasting such as static, hisses, pops, and fading. The new technology also provides a second channel in which WKMS airs classical music. NPR and Public Radio International PRI, later Public Radio Exchange PRX, now send their shows through the Internet. As such, it only takes a matter of minutes for a show to be received. The process is much faster than the 1979 satellite transmission that recorded shows in real time. The January 2009 Central Plains and Midwest ice storm. During the January 2009 Central Plains and Midwest ice storm, power was temporarily lost to the regional signal at the tower and HD radio digital transmission system in the Land Between the Lakes, and the station operated from its studio site auxiliary system, a low-power transmitter and line that reached most of Callaway County and the WKMS. By January 31, a generator obtained with the assistance of the Callaway County Emergency Operations Center and the U.S. Department of Agriculture's Forestry Service enabled the station to resume its regional analog service. However, the HE radio signal remained damaged and inoperable. Tower inspections revealed icing damage to a flange welt connecting the digital antenna to its transmission line, resulting in water damage to the line itself. Repairs were estimated at nearly $40,000 in previously unbudgeted expenditures from MSU. All services, including the HE radio signal, have since resumed normal operations. 2010s. In February 2010, WKMS changed the frequency and the programming on its Paducah translator to carry a 24-hour classical music service. The Paducah translator, formerly at 92.1, was moved to 92.5 FM. Broadcasts include the Paducah Symphony Orchestra, concerts from MSU, and nationally syndicated programs like From the Top and Sunday Baroque. The Paducah translator broadcasts at 27 watts, designed to improve WKMS reception for area listeners in spots of low elevation that are due to the proximity of the Ohio River, where a lack of clear lines of sight impeded reception from the main WKMS 100,000-watt transmitter in the land between the lakes. In March 2010, WKMS started a new repeater service, 90.9 FM WKMD, in Madisonville. Additionally, the station placed its all-classical WKMS HD-2 service on the 105.1 FM Madisonville translator. The repeater service at 90.9 FM transmits from a tower on campus at Madisonville Community College. This is a repeater transmitter that broadcasts a signal of just over 20,000 watts. WKMD rebroadcasts the main WKMS signal to areas of Union, Webster, Davis, McLean, Ohio, Muhlenberg, and Christian counties, all of which were previously outside a public radio service coverage area, and boosts the reception for listeners in Hopkins County. In June 2010, WKMS improved reception for listeners in Fulton, South Fulton, Martin, and Union City with a repeater service, 89.5 FM WKMT in Fulton. WKMT restores a strong signal from WKMS to Fulton, one of the communities that experienced reduced reception when WKMS moved its transmission site from Farmington to the land between the lakes in 1980. WKMS is using a data link connection to transmit programming to the WKMT tower from its MSU studios. In 2012, WKMS launched the Youth Radio Project, involving local youth in radio production. This project grew with a grant from the Carson Meyer Charitable Foundation in 2013 to record and broadcast orchestral and choral performances. In the summer of 2013, WKMS partnered with MSU to implement a teen leader radio project for high school juniors and seniors in area leadership groups to produce stories for scholarship awards. In May 2014, repairs on the 91.3 transmitter allowed for improved coverage in Paris, which made the 99.5 repeater redundant. WKMS used additional funds raised by listeners in February 2014 to move the equipment to Murray to become the new classical repeater on 99.5 FM. In mid-December 2014, 99.5 was moved to 88.9 due to signal interference with another station. Funding. The WKMS operating budget comes from four main sources: MSU appropriations, individual listener contributors, businesses and corporations, and grants from the Corporation for Public Broadcasting administering funds appropriated by the U.S. Congress. The proportion of funding and funding sources vary from station to station across the nation. WKMS listeners provide the major share of that part of the budget, which WKMS must raise in order to match support from MSU. Events. WKMS co-sponsors several events with regional organizations such as MSU Love It Live, Land Between the Lakes Pecan Party, the Lowertown Art and Music Festival in Paducah, the Pennington Festival in Princeton, Kentucky, concert broadcasts of the Paducah Symphony Orchestra, local schools, and other art agencies. WKMS also hosts an annual Battle of the Bands competition in coordination with Maiden Alley Cinema in Paducah and hosts monthly live lunches featuring local bands. Programming. WKMS hosts a diverse programming schedule comprising both national and local news and music programs. WKMS employs a news team, mainly composed of MSU students, to cover news and events in the region in the format of interviews and features that appear in the daily locally produced 2-hour-long program Sounds Good. Generally, news and talk programs are heard during weekdays, with arts and cultural programming on weekends. National programming on WKMS includes well-known staples such as Morning Edition, All Things Considered, Science Friday, World Cafe, Wait, 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 Din, 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 Wait, 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 Don't Tell Me, Fresh Air, and The Diane Rehm Show. Local programming. WKMS produces several local programs, which focus on regional news or a specific genre of music. Beyond the Edge, an eclectic 3-hour mix of folk rock, pop, alt-country, Americana, blues, and other genres, aired weekly with host Tracy Ross. Saturdays at 8 p.m. Cafe Jazz, 2 hours of mainstream jazz, heard weeknights. The show is hosted by Tracy Ross, Todd Hill, George Eldred, and Brian Clardy. Mondays through Thursdays at 9 p.m. This program is followed by Jazz Vault, which features archival episodes of Cafe Jazz and is produced by George Eldred. Mondays through Thursdays. Classical Encore, a twice-weekly 2-hour showcase of classical music with host Dr. John Dressler. This production also broadcasts throughout the week on the HD-2 channel. Sundays at 5 a.m. and 9 p.m. Left of the Dial, a weekly 2-hour music program featuring tracks heavily rooted in the underground music scene of the 1980s. Hosted by John Null. Fridays at 9 p.m. The Jasmine Show, a weekly hour-long music program featuring pioneers and innovators in jazz as well as world jazz and big band music, with host Andy Jasmine Smith. Sundays at 1 p.m. The Jive House, a weekly hour-long music program featuring a mix of blues, soul, and roots music, hosted by volunteers John McMillan and Brad Robertson. Thursdays at 9 p.m. The Last Splash, a weekly 2-hour-long music program featuring alternative, indie, and punk rock music, along with local hosts' thoughts and reactions. Hosted by Austin Carter, Tim Payton, Corbett Hall, and Matthew Rowan. Fridays at 11 p.m. Rick's Kitchen Sink, a weekly 2-hour music program featuring a mix of blues, jazz, and roots music, hosted by Rick Nets. Saturdays at 1 p.m. Music from the Front Porch, a weekly staple on WKMS for over 30 years. It is a 3-hour music program featuring folk music, bluegrass, acoustic music, and western swing from musicians old and new alike, with hosts John McMillan, Mike Gowan, and Nick Maurice. Saturdays at 10 a.m. Sounds Good, a daily 2-hour showcase of conversations with members of the community and a range of adult album, alternative, folk, and indie music, hosted by Tracy Ross and staff members. Weekdays at 11 a.m. Weekend Energy, a weekly 2-hour-long music program featuring techno, electro, trance music, drum and bass, and other high-energy styles of contemporary electronica, with host Matt Magee Markgraf. Saturdays at 11 p.m. WKMS HD2. WKMS HD2 airs the nationally syndicated satellite-delivered public radio service, Classical 24, which plays classical music around the clock, produced by Minnesota Public Radio and American Public Media.